Hello lovers, welcome to the Butterfly Effect podcast hosted by myself, Lauren Amy. This is for those who are ready to take up space, who are living a soft life loudly and are ready to savor the sweetness in each moment. Here we're going to embrace transformation, the beauty of the in-between and the magic of becoming. So pull up a seat and listen in because life is delicious and it's about goddamn time we eat it up. All right, stunners, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the Butterfly Effect podcast. Happy Wellness Wednesday. What am I doing? Okay, full disclaimer. Okay, it is 10 to 9 on Tuesday evening, and this episode goes out in mere hours. And I'm currently sat recording it. It's fine. It's giving committed to the cause, okay? We are committed to this regular content schedule, so we are going for it, okay? I had all good intentions for this episode, right? Okay, some of you might have known that I have been on a little girls trip down to Newquay with my absolute ride or dies, my absolute best girlies. And I was hoping to be back today somewhat earlier, and yes, unexpected chaos hit, and that's fine. That's okay. We're home, we're safe, and we're now recording a podcast episode that's going to go out in a couple of hours. Oh my goodness, but I hope everyone is well. All right, stunners, let's get going. Okay, so as I mentioned, I have had the most gorgeous girly pop weekend, and it's really made me realize something, okay? Girlhood in your 30s is an absolute different beast, and I'm so here for it. I'm loving it. I'm thoroughly enjoying this ride that it is taking me on. And what I love about girlhood in your 30s is being able to revisit girlhood. When we talk about girlhood, maybe I think we're talking like early 20s, you know, you're coming into It's that in-between stage, I reckon, like girlhood into adulthood, okay? But I don't know, I feel like I really want to reclaim girlhood in your 30s, because when I get together with this group of girls, it's like I'm 19 again. Nothing has changed. The world is so big and scary, and I have no understanding of it, like, at all. But we're here, we're living it, we're still going, we're in our 30s, we're all in complete different stages. Like, one's getting a cat, one's already 2 cats deep, one's married and looking at houses and mortgages, one is single and loving it, one is single and not so loving it. And it's just the different stages of where we all at. And like, I think we've all been through so many different evolutions, we've all shed so many different layers of skin, we've all become like so many different women along the way, but I have loved every single stage that they have moved through, and I hope they feel the same way about me. They have loved me at every single stage I have moved through, and it's that friendship group that we all happened to meet at one particular time. We all met at the same time in one particular course that we all decided to do just for a year, and 12 years later, I think it's 12 years later, something like that, 12 years later, they are my absolute ride or dies. And over this weekend, again, we literally just reverted back to our 19-year-old selves. We did some vision boarding, we got some acai bowls, we went to the cinema, we went to the beach, we did lots of sea swims. And the main event, the main reason that we were down in Newquay for this weekend was that we went to a Mamma Mia beach party, and Mamma Mia, that and a lot of fun was had. So much fun, I actually don't know how I'm here to live and tell the tale, but what an amazing time. And I think girlhood in your 30s, reclaiming it, revisiting it, is such a statement. It's such a powerful feeling, because you can again have this view on whatever stage you are at, and like everyone's trying to figure things out, everyone's muddling their way through, no one really has any idea of what's going on. So really it's the same as when you're 19, but you just have that little bit more, I don't know, life experience, that little bit more knowledge, I guess, but the same spark, the same willingness, the same playfulness, the same curiosity to just give things a go and just savor every moment of it all. And there have been some real shit moments for us all, 100%. Like I said a moment ago, we've all had to move through something, and maybe in some ways we are still moving through something. We're all working towards different things, but we're just muddling our way through. And I just think it's so beautiful. It's like one of the things we said when we all met up with one another, that there's something so grounding about catching up with people who have known you for so long. And no matter how much time has passed in between these reunions, it feels like it was yesterday. I literally feel like I see these girls every single day, even though I haven't seen them in months. And then sometimes we go months without even speaking. But it feels the exact same. It feels like I just caught up with them yesterday. And there's something so grounding about that. There's no pretending. There's no performing. There's no need to feel like we need to show up acting a certain way. We show up exactly as we are, and we love each other for it. And, these are my absolute ride or dies, the kind of people I would stare down into a barrel of a gun for. I know that's quite serious and quite dramatic, but that's how much I love these girls. And I just love it. We had such a gorgeous time at this Mamma Mia beach party, which again was just girlhood in itself. Like, one of us is crying at one moment, one of us is, I don't know, lost for 30 minutes whilst making friends with strangers, the other is then wanting to have a real deep DMC. Honestly, the best time was had. So as you can tell, it has inspired me to talk about this more on the podcast, because I think there's something so beautiful about revisiting girlhood with these adult eyes, and reclaiming, rewriting, or maybe it's actually finally allowing yourself to feel all these things that life has to offer. I think when we're young, we're maybe scared, we're hesitant to try new things. Or at least I was when I was young. I was very much a bit of a scaredy cat. And I would only do certain things because it was considered the norm. You get to, I don't know, 20 years old, you've met someone, I don't know, either in university, you then, I don't know, start living together, you then hopefully get married and then hopefully have babies. It's just, I literally was just going with the motion of what I thought life was supposed to be. So now revisiting it now, and allowing myself to actually be like, no, that doesn't have to be how things go. That doesn't have to be my story. And actually, I can write my own story. And I think that's amazing. It's very healing at the same time. There's something to be said for we always speak about inner child healing, but I think a lot of it is, undoing any conditioning we had throughout our 20s, okay, or even before that, especially the good girl conditioning. I have this theme, this poem that I've been meaning to post for a long time, all about welcome to the good girl rebellion, okay? Finally rebelling against the idea of being perfect or people pleasing, or constantly having to hold ourselves to a certain standard or expectation, actually being able to be like, you know what? No, that doesn't serve me anymore. Your picture of what life should look like may work for you. That doesn't mean it has to work for me. So yeah, it's like this reclaiming that life is your own to make, it's your own to save, and you've got to give yourself that permission to play with it, to experience it. Be silly, be adventurous, be creative without needing to be productive all the time. This is something that I again had to overcome, this conditioning that I had. Anything that I did had to be productive in some way, had to work towards something, had to add to something, or had to become something, when it doesn't. You can just be creative and let that, get in that creative flow state, and whatever it becomes, whatever it ends up being, amazing. Or even if it's an unfinished project, amazing. Nothing has to be finished, really, does it? You can start as many things as you wish. You can try out as many different eras as you wish. This is another thing me and my friends spoke about at the weekend. I think one of them said I'm in this era, and I was like, honey, I'm in a different era every single day. I don't know what I wake up each morning. I'm like, okay, what era is this today? And sometimes I revisit eras, and I think that's a beautiful way to think about it, because each day you get to decide. You get to wake up and decide, okay, how am I going to live life today? And yes, you perhaps have some sort of routine. Yes, you might have a schedule, okay? But as you're working throughout that schedule, as you're going about your day to day, you still get to decide, how am I going to live this today? Am I going to live it with a little, I don't know, cheeky, rebellious side? That obviously still gets things done that needs to be done, but maybe, again, rebelling here and there, I don't know. Am I in, I don't know, a chaotic era? Amazing. Love that for you. Am I in a calm, grounded, home girly era? Beautiful. Love that too. Am I in Pilates girl era? Am I in my matcha era? You know, there's so many different things that I could say, and it doesn't need to be big. It doesn't need to be grand. I think even in one day I've gone through like 4 different eras. Because you can just chop and change, like you're changing outfits, you know what I mean? Life is to be lived. However you decide to live it, just go on and do it. You get to decide, you get to choose. Just give yourself permission to choose it over and over again, permission to choose you over and over again. Every time you make a decision that lights you up or gives you that little oomph or that little sparkle, that warm hug from within, I think you're doing something right. You know what I mean? I genuinely don't know if anything in this episode is gonna come through in a sensical way. Sensical? Is that even a word? I don't know, we're just gonna go with it. Because obviously feeling somewhat chaotic this evening, but again, embracing it. Embracing the chaos, embracing the mess. Few things went wrong this weekend, don't get me wrong. And that's fine. Things can go wrong and we don't need to lose our heads about it, all right? Yes, some things are frustrating. Yes, we wish we could change some things. Like I wish I could change that journey back home and perhaps make it a bit more seamless. But you know what? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I am home. My friend is home. I got to spend the gorgeous past few days with my pals. So however it ended, it was all worth it. So I'm hoping this might be a shorter episode, I have no idea, but I'm hoping this episode inspires you to revisit girlhood and reclaim it in your adulthood. And I had so many strong feelings over this weekend as well that I can imagine this group of girls doing the exact same thing in our 40s, in our 50s, in our 60s, and it's just going to keep getting better. You know, I still want to be celebrating girlhood in my 60s. What a vibe that would be. I feel like these women, I can see exactly the kind of people they're going to be in their 60s as well. And I'm sure they might surprise the hell out of me, but what I mean by this is that I can see who they are at their very center, at their very core. And as we move through the decades, as we move through each era, I can just see them blossoming more and more and becoming more and more of who they are meant to be right at their center. And again, I think we're all learning it at the same time. We're all coming to learn ourselves. It just comes back to the idea, like, I love who they were at 19. I love who they are now at 30. I already know I'm going to love who they are at 40, and so on and so forth, because I know who they are right at their very center. They are the most loving, free-spirited, beautiful souls that I have ever had the pleasure of knowing. And I'm so grateful for it. I know not everyone maybe has like a group of girls, but again, you can still reclaim your own girlhood within yourself. I always talk about solo dates and allowing yourself to be playful in the way that you go about your own day. You know what I mean? What would it be like to explore the world with this kind of teenage curiosity again? I think that's something that's so special that we do lose. It is kind of almost stamped out of us because, like I mentioned before, we do feel like we have to go through this process, you know? You go to school, maybe you go to uni, maybe you do an apprenticeship, maybe you go into work straight away, okay? But ultimately, it's school, it's learning, it's work, and whatever you're doing within your work, maybe that takes you in different pathways here and there. And then, I don't know, it's marriage, then maybe it's families, and then so on and so forth. But within that, there's so much possibility, there's so much potential for playfulness and for curiosity. Yes, you might be going through that process. Yes, you might be following this plan, so to speak, to the letter. But who's to say we can't mix it up every now and then? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And again, embracing that, there's no shame. Like, there's no shame to going against these preconceived notions of how we should live our lives, how we should move through our 20s and into our 30s, you know? And maybe there's things that we restricted ourselves from for certain reasons. Again, like celebrating like how our bodies have evolved as well. This is another thing. There was one beautiful moment during this weekend where I think we had like half an hour to get changed from the beach, and then we were heading to the cinema. Half an hour, everyone needed a shower, so it's like, okay, one in, one out, and we're just it's just proper girlhood. Like, there's no judgment, there's no care at all, celebrating our bodies and how we have all evolved into women who are worthy of taking up space. No need to make ourselves small, no longer comparing ourselves, celebrating the things we love, again, without that shame, or without feeling like, you know, certain things were policed or restricted or quietened. We had so many moments where we were reminiscing over times where we feel like we held ourselves back on things, or someone else was holding ourselves back from certain things. And I think we're at this real moment where everyone is feeling free in their own way, free to make these decisions, free to take up space, free to explore whatever it is that we want to explore, and embracing that. So I think a couple of questions that I'd love to like leave this episode with is, you know, what parts of your girlhood would you like to reclaim now? You know, if you could literally like speak to your younger self, and there was something you already always loved to do, or maybe there was a particular way in which you'd like to style your hair. Like, another thing that was mentioned over the weekend, like, what do we think about coloured eyeliner? I'm like, fucking go for it. If you want to wear bright blue eyeliner, absolutely, have the time of your life, you know? Little things like that. Or maybe there was a sweet treat that you really liked, but for such a long time you did not buy yourself that. Again, maybe that was a joy that was being somewhat policed for whatever reason. Go buy yourself that sweet treat, you know what I mean? On the way home, I bought myself Dairy Dunkers, and it was phenomenal. Again, just these silly examples. And I think there was something else about like revisiting and reclaiming girlhood, again, with this adult perspective, but also this freedom of being an adult now, you know? There's so many things that I forget, like, oh, I can do that. I can make that decision. Oh, I can decide to do that. I can take myself here because I have the means to do so. I have the independence, you know? There are so many things I think we all held ourselves back from when we were younger. So revisit that girlhood now with this adult perspective and just see what you can do with it. So how can we bring more play, more curiosity into our 30s, or whatever decade you happen to be in, whatever era you are in? What can we bring in, or how can we bring in that playfulness, that curiosity? Again, the things that just light you up and give you that little satisfied little tingle. I don't know what it is. And I think there's something to be said for, you know, looking back and reconnecting with these past versions of yourself. And yes, maybe there were moments that we liked a little bit, less. Yes, there may have been moments that we wish we didn't have to move through. But it's loving all parts of your becoming, all the many versions of you that you were, all the many versions of you that you are yet to become. There's so much more still to come. Isn't that an amazing thing? There's so much more still to come. There's so much more that you are yet to experience, yet to do. That to me is so exciting. I literally think I'm going to have a little journal session on this right now, because it's just all these thoughts just buzzing around in my brain. And maybe this episode would have made a bit more sense if I did have the time to sit down and journal on it beforehand, but c'est la vie, it is what it is. Maybe actually it's better that these are just pure unfiltered thoughts just spilling out of my mouth right now. But yeah, let's all have a collective journal session on this, shall we? You know, okay, so what parts of your girlhood are you reclaiming? What does your younger self need to hear that you're telling her right now? How can we bring that playfulness, that curiosity into this age, into this era, into this stage, wherever you are at? And who is it that you are becoming? And who are these past versions of you? Who are these upcoming versions of you? Yeah, I'd love to hear if you have any I don't know, thoughts that land with this episode about reclaiming girlhood. It's funny, I also keep coming back to the fact that I had 5 words for this year: reclaim, recenter, power. What were the other 2? Audacity was another one. What was my 5th one? Oh, it's annoying me. I can't remember what the 5th one was. But I do feel like these words keep coming into play. I keep reclaim, especially, keeps coming up over and over again. It just feels like now that I'm really in my 30s, I even said to my girlies over the weekend that, you know, I'm turning 31 soon, and in some ways, like, I don't want to, because I'm really enjoying being 30. 30 feels like you're 28 and you're dressing up as a 30-year-old, you know. 31, you are just 31. You are in your 30s. You are in this decade. But again, this is the decade where everything happens, right? You perhaps lose yourself, you find yourself again. And no matter how many times that happens, you always find yourself. You know what I mean? And I just think, like, things are just gonna keep getting better. Even if it doesn't always seem like it. Like, I don't know. We don't know what tomorrow brings, right? But I just have this strong sense things are just gonna keep getting better. I believe that for myself. I believe that for you. Yeah. Things are just going to keep getting better. Have a little journal on girlhood and how you are hoping to reclaim your girlhood with your adult eyes, and let me know about it. I think I'm going to wrap this one up, otherwise I'm probably just going to waffle and none of it's going to make sense. I'm hoping that this episode, despite this slight chaotic setting, lands. And I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to rate and review, like and subscribe, all those lovely things, and I'll see you next week, hopefully a bit more prepped and planned, but who knows, maybe not. But yes, I shall see you next week for another Wellness Wednesday episode. Have a good one, and I'll see you then. Mwah!